Right. So let's talk about people who are calling Diablo just a casino. This is something I've heard from some friends of mine who actually haven't even bought Diablo or played Diablo yet, but they've sent me messages that they don't want to because they've seen on Reddit or elsewhere that Diablo is essentially a less fun slot machine. And I think this is like sort of a potentially damaging idea, right? So, for the vast majority of players, Diablo 4 is not going to be a slot machine. Um, I mean, eventually, the game does get to that point. But we're talking about for people who play like 10 to 15 hours a day. We're talking about people who have played 100 plus 200 hours of Diablo since its release less than a month ago. And these people, mind you, paid 70 or 80 bucks for the game. And they played like 200 hours. So if you break that down by like how much they paid per hour of enjoyment, hopefully they're enjoying the game. Otherwise, why would they be playing it? Um, I would say they definitely got their money's worth. Now these people are crying because you get to the end of the game, like the end game, right? And let's say you beat Uber Lilith, and there's just nothing else for you to do, and these people say, well, now I'm just like continually grinding to try to get slightly better rolls on my gear. And like, if you get to that point, if you're in that like point, that 0.1% of people who are that deep into the end game before season one even starts, yeah, you're getting to the point where you're just playing a slot machine. But for the vast majority of people, they're nowhere near that level yet. I would say most people who got the game around launch, they've probably beat the campaign. They're probably around level 60 or higher, maybe 70. And I highly doubt that they've completed all of their region renown. Maybe they have. But like you're talking about, like if you mainline the campaign, you get all the altars of Lilith, and then you pop all your renown for each region. I mean, if you've gotten that far, like there's still other characters you haven't played, right? Like even if you're just talking about your main, you have to be like if you want to do everything you can do, you got to be Uber Lilith, which itself is an extremely difficult challenge. You got to get to level 100. You got to be min maxing your guy. I mean, this is all I would say pre slot machine phase. Um, but I mean, even for people who are like sort of complaining about that there's not much to do before season one, like, dude, open your codex. You know what I mean? There's like challenges in here that are pretty tough. Specifically like hardcore, right? Like reach level 50 with every class in hardcore mode. Did you do that? Like if you think there's not enough content, like did you hit level 50 in hardcore mode with every class? Because I think a lot of these people haven't, right? A lot of them are playing on a main or they have a couple alts that are all high level and they're just like continually trying to roll for higher gear, which is fair enough. Whatever you want to do with your time. Now, I'm not one of these people that's going to like complain or or talk shit about people that have played for like 200 hours. Like that's great. That's cool. Like I've seen some people on there like, oh, these streamers, these content creators have no life and they just play all the time. But I have a family and kids. Like, dude, who cares? Like, especially if it's your job. Like, if you're a content creator, like, good on you that you are playing that much and grinding and have gotten 150 hours to put out content. Like, that's great. Even if you're not a content creator and you can game that much and you enjoy it, then more power to you. That's good stuff. The vast majority of people who bought Diablo 4, of course, are not in that vein. And the final note, I guess, though, I also want to say is that these people, I don't want to say that their opinions now that they're in like end game preseason one are not valid or something, because a lot of it I think is quite valid. And it's very useful information for Activision Blizzard, because like these are your most hardcore player base, right? And these are the people that are pushing the game to its limits. So they are the people where you can probably derive the most valuable information in terms of how you can tweak the game, buffs and debuffs, and what kind of content people are thirsting for and challenging for. But again, that's not the vast majority of people.